All right, guys, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about rebalancing. Okay, so once you decide, let's say you decide I want a growth portfolio, going to have about 70% in stocks, about 30% in bonds and cash, and I'm going to grow. So I'm diversified. Cool. I feel good about that. Great. Well, what happens is over time, the values of these shift. Okay, these percentages shift based on the market. Let's say we go through another really big bull run and your stock portion grows a lot. So then all of a sudden, when you look at your overall portfolio, your stock allocation isn't 70 anymore. It's actually 85%, right? Because your stocks have just grown so much in value. So now you're at 85% stock, 15% bonds and cash. You see, the problem there is now you are really in the aggressive growth kind of portfolio, which means you are taking on more risk. So if you decide what your risk appetite is and what you're comfortable with, you've got to maintain it. And that's where rebalancing comes in. That's what we're going to talk about in this video's rebalancing. Okay. So rebalancing is just getting back to that original allocation that you've decided on. So if it's growth and the stocks grow so much that instead of 70, it's 85%, and you're kind of in this, rebalancing means you would sell off 15% of the stocks and you would put those into bonds and cash to then rebalance the portfolio. So then you're back down to a 70-30 split. So let's just look really quick. This is the effect of no rebalancing over time. Okay. If you set this as your allocation in December of 2000, okay, so you're 50% stock, 40% bonds and cash. Okay. So that is, if we look at it, a balanced portfolio or a moderate portfolio. Okay. So let's say you did that and then you didn't rebalance. What would happen is 20 years later, all of a sudden you've got 67% in bonds, or sorry, in stocks and 33% in bonds and cash. Okay. That's more risky than you want to go, right? You've already decided that. And so that's the effect of not rebalancing. So to rebalance, you would simply sell off 17% of these, and then you would go in and buy 17% more into here. Then you'd be rebalanced. Okay. So the impact of rebalancing is really interesting because number one, it manages your risk. Your allocations are going to get out of whack and you might be taking on more risk or less risk than you want to. But something happens here, okay? Because this could easily go the other way. There could be a market downturn and this 50% of stock all of a sudden is 35% and you've got, 65% in bonds and cash. Let's talk about what happens here. If you rebalance at that point when the market goes down and you sell off, right? The bonds and cash have actually increased in value during a market downturn. Theoretically, that's typically what they do. It's just a little bit, but they do. If you sell 15% of these, you're actually selling at a higher point in the bond market. Values in the bond market are higher. You're selling at a high point. And you take that 15% and you go and you buy stock. You're buying stock when it's at a low point. And so you're actually buying at a discount. So you're selling the bonds high, you're buying the stocks low. So when the market, whatever, recovers, then you're actually getting a pretty good deal because you're selling high and buying low in those asset classes. When the market recovers and it adjusts, you can sell the stocks that have already all of a sudden gained in value. You can sell those and put them back to bonds to get your even mix, okay? And make sure it's balanced the way you want it to be. Vice versa, right? Let's say stocks have had a terrific run up, like right here. Well, what you're doing when you sell 17% of these stocks is you're selling at a high point, which is exactly what you want to be doing if you're going to sell. You're selling at a high. Bonds probably are a little bit lower in value because the stock market is doing well. So the bond market is, right, inverse relationship. So you're selling 17% of the stocks at a high point. You're selling high, you're buying that 17%, you're buying into the bond market, which is at a lower point. When things adjust, you're going to get an outsized return on the bonds, okay? And so the rebalancing periodically makes a ton of sense to maintain your risk appetite, like the portfolio you've already decided on, and also can help juice returns when you do it, depending on, you can take advantage of different market events, right? So it's not timing the market. It's just, oh, hey, the market's down. Let me check my percentages. Oh yeah, I'm gonna rebalance right now. And then when the market recovers, I've bought in low and I'm actually juicing my returns on the upside. So that's rebalancing. Now you can rebalance as often as you want, but typically once per year is pretty sufficient, especially if you have a long time horizon, right? If you're looking to use the money in 20, 30 years plus, then you don't have to rebalance very often. If you're in an all stock portfolio, maybe you don't have to rebalance very often at all. But if you're in, an aggressive growth portfolio or growth or balanced or whatever, checking it once per year, rebalancing, maybe if there's a significant market event, you can see if you can take advantage of that and rebalance at that point. And that's pretty much it. So it's fairly simple. It's pretty straightforward, but that's rebalancing and its impact. A great way to make sure that your risk is not creeping out of control. So that covers rebalancing and its impacts. So we will cover more in the coming videos.
Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.